Dr. Black. This is a talk that I have been really looking forward to, so I really appreciate your being here. Dr. Blackwood is an associate professor of pediatrics, Division of Infectious Diseases. His primary research interest has been in neutrophil cell biology, a little different than what we do. However, he has been most noted for his involvement with U of M students and serving as a faculty advisor for Multicultural Association of Pre-Health Students, Black Undergraduate Medical Association, and Wolverine Tutors. He is vice chair of the Institutional Review Board of U of M Medical School. He is a member of the Admissions Committee, Student Biomedical Research Committee, and Advisory Board, and the MD PhD Program Advisory Committee. Dr. Blackwood is actively engaged in global reach and hope to build the global health community at U of M Medical School and other health science schools, bringing together like-minded researchers, educators, and clinicians to maximize the impact of our global activities. Dr. Blackwood has received numerous teaching awards, including the Harold R. Johnson Diversity Service Award, and he was inducted as a teacher into the Alpha Omega Alpha Medical Honor Society in the Michigan chapter in 2009. He has been developing partnerships with area schools to foster education, to promote mentoring and tutoring for disadvantaged and underrepresented student populations. So we are thrilled that you can be with us today.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Can I have my first slide?
Do we have his slides? Thanks. Perfect.
I'm going to talk a little about the academic pipeline and how to secure it, and a method called CHEAR mentoring. And it's sort of what it sounds like, but the impact that you can have with it is more than can be considered. Next slide. I'm with OHE, the Office of Health Equity and Inclusion, and I'd like to say that this was all my own, but it's not. And so the OHE team is Dr. Brandon Lucas, who is our program manager, Dr. Ophelia Pryor, who is an expert in public policy, public health. Jody Foster is our administrator, and then lowly me. Next slide. Next slide. So what is Pathways? It's the academic pipeline. Next. Next. Okay, the pipeline is from elementary school to your career goal. And people consider the pipeline as one big thing, but it's not. Next. There are multiple mini pipelines. There's a pipeline to law, a pipeline to education, and a pipeline to medicine. Next. And the medical school is equipped to foster or to teach the medical school pipeline. And you want to encourage people to, or students, to stay in school and their education in general, but you really best can guide them along a path semi-adjacent to the one that you've got done yourself. Next slide. Okay, so now a lot of people realize is that there's pathways and there's inclusion. And everybody thinks they're the same. And if you do pathways work, then you can do inclusion work. And you can't. Inclusion improves the climate. What's the general climate like around? Is it diverse? Is it open? Is it inviting? Next. Whereas pathways is how do you survive regardless what the climate is. Pathways can't wait for the climate to improve. Next. They're reciprocal. they can foster each other, but they are independent. And the reason I say this is I do very little for inclusion. It's all about pathways. How do you survive? How do you make it? Next slide. Okay. Well, who are URMs? The AAC defines them as African American or Black, Hispanic Latino, Native Americans, Alaskans, economically disadvantaged. But in Michigan, next, uh, they're also socially and educationally disadvantaged and MENAs. Uh, and it and what it is that we have a large Middle Eastern or Arab population, and they're underrepresented in medicine here. Next slide. Okay. Well, if you look at the racial distribution of faculty members, you will see that as you go up the academic ladder, it is more and more skewed, or there's less representation. Yeah. Now, why is that? Well, what it is that the attrition rate is disproportionate. Um, Next slide. If you look over time, very little there's very little change. If you look at the number of people represented by in medicine in minority groups over the last 40 years, there's really been almost no change. Next slide. Okay. URMs represent about 33% of the population. In the United States, Black about 20. In 1977, the number of Black medical students, of minority medical students, ranged between 9 and 11%. In 2017, it ranged between 11 and 13%. So in 40 years, we've increased by 2%. Why is that? And there's been lots of efforts done to change this. Um, Not to mention the fact uh, that minorities have increased from 22 to 25% to 30 to over 30% during that same 40-year period. So in other words, we're falling behind. Why? Next slide. Um, on top of everything else, that the URMs, about half of them are foreign born. And it's not that they shouldn't be foreign born, but that means that we're failing even more with our American born minorities. There's something in our educational process in what's going on that is creating this disparity and this gap. Next slide. Okay. This is a representation of the pipeline and what's basically happening. Now, if you look at the far right, yeah, the number of full professors that you can have is limited by the number of associate professors, which is limited by the number of assistant professors. And what you'll see is that by the time you get to medical school, you're somewhere between 9 and 13%. And and with the attrition, you can never achieve equity, um, because there's just not enough people entering. Um, why aren't they? What's the limiting factor? Next slide. Um, well, a little closer look at the pipeline, the reality is that the attrition begins uh, in the K-12. Every year the number of students that essentially give up on their educational pursuits and our diversion pipeline increases. Sorry. Um, Next slide. Okay, so who's dropping the ball? Pink elephant in the room. If only Detroit and Flint could get their act together, we wouldn't have this problem. If they educated their kids and what have you. Next slide. Is it the schools? The admissions process? The education? Is it society? Institutional racism? Bias? Do the individuals lack the ability? Next slide. Okay, Washtenaw County. Well, let's examine. In Washtenaw County, which Ann Arbor had one of the best school systems in the state, the graduation rate is about 81%. For Caucasian students, it's 83%. For African American students, it's 67%. And for economically disadvantaged students, it's 57%. I don't know about you, but if I got a 57 on an exam, I wouldn't be too happy. Next slide. Let's think of Pioneer. Pioneer's a stone's throw, from the big house. 75% of students, of non-disadvantaged students, are proficient on the state exam, whereas only 31% of the disadvantaged children are. That's a 44% achievement gap. Next slide. All right, let's think about us. We're Michigan. What's our mission? Well, we're a top 10 school. Our ranking is based on our production. Well, what do we produce? We inspire students to conquer the space. We prepare students for success. We're excellent education, a variety of experiences, and we encourage them to find their own path. Next. I'm sorry, but we are elite. And I never want us to not consider ourselves elite. And I'll address that a little later. Well, what is diversity, inclusion, or affirmative action? Over the years, they keep changing the term. Next. It's diamond mining. And I don't think we realize that. We are Michigan. We have a standard. For someone to be stamped Michigan, it should mean something. Okay, next slide. Okay, what do I mean by diamond mining? Think about it. Apart from your significant other giving it to you, there you are. You can go to Tiffany and you can buy a 5-carat diamond. Or you can be walking in the park and there in the mud, you see a stone. You pick it up. You polish it off. You take it to Tiffany's. It's 5 carats and it appraises at the same value as the one you paid for. Which would you rather? And if the cubic zirconium, you don't want it. I get it. But are there diamonds out there? And that's the key. Next slide. Okay. What we're trying to do is we're trying to turn this. Oh, you went too fast. Go back one. You're trying to turn this into this. Thank you. Now you can go forward. Thank you. Okay. Do you understand that? See, actually, it's interesting. When I talk to students, and this is one of my favorite slides to show students, they have no clue what I'm talking about because they're not old enough to remember flipper. Who wins, a guppy or a shark? Who wins, a dolphin or a shark? A dolphin. See, because sharks have to be moving. And so what the dolphins do is they ram the shark, they break the ribs, and the shark can't swim, and the shark drowns. So how do you equip students to be dolphins, to swim in shark-infested waters? Next slide. Okay, well, to intervene at the college level is too late. Because by the time you hit college, you're down to, you're the 10% level. So you have to approach students and you have to get them when they're young in the K-12. And this requires early intervention and it's reinforcing the pipeline. Next slide. Okay, if you think about, the thing is, if at every level that you support the pipeline, you increase the number of people that flow, and therefore the number of people that are there for the health equity. Next slide. So the programs that you develop, they have to support the flow. They have to support those students that are going to make it no matter what, and also going to help support the students that would have fallen off the pipeline. High standards have to be maintained. And that's really one of the key critical issues. You can't lower the bar. Early intervention, high standards. Next slide. Okay. So in OHAY, we teach students how to think like a scientist. Um, getting IRB approval. That doesn't help you. Yes, you need IRB approval to do a study. But if you have a student and all they're doing is they're getting IRB approval, they're helping you set up, you're not taking advantage of Michigan's greatest resource. Our students are brilliant here. By definition, if a student gets into Michigan, they're among the top 10% that the state has to offer. And the thing is, we have the ability to take advantage of that, not for ourselves, but for them. A lot of students don't understand what they have and what they're capable of doing. And we as teachers should be able to inspire them to do it. Now, many of you have heard of imposter syndrome. What imposter syndrome is, yeah, I mean, I remember, when I was a student and I didn't know the term imposter syndrome. What I thought it was everybody's a genius and I'm not. Um, and I went to Columbia and I remember during orientation, you know, there were 300 pre-med students and we all came to this room and the teacher said, everybody's a genius. And I said, oh, beep, because I knew I wasn't. And then he said, look to the right, look to the left. 2/3 of you are going down. Everybody's a genius but me, and 2/3 are going down. Um, wow. And my first semester, I had my brains handed to me. And then I realized something. I hadn't met a genius. There was no one I really met that I was, and I ended up graduating in 3 years. Um, the belief in yourself or the recognition that you belong makes the world of difference. And quite often, URM or disadvantaged kids, they don't have a sense of belonging, or it takes them time, or they believe how they do when they get out the gate defines them. And we as teachers can let them understand that what they do in the end defines them, not how they get out the gate. Next slide. All right. For Michigan, I always tell students that you need to be a closet 3.8. And if you need to have 3.8 quality or better. And that's a mythical 3.8. The reality, is that's a benchmark. What are you capable of doing? Um, and I said, if you have to define what you're capable of doing, and then you need to do it. Um, okay, so for our OHA scholars, um, by the time they graduate, um, I expect them to have one publication and to present at a regional or a local conference. And that's, I know that's actually depending on how many of them there are, that's kind of ambitious in theory, but not really, because our kids really are that good. Next slide. Okay, how do you raise the bar? Through mentoring, um, through challenging them. Um, it was actually interesting because I was giving a talk to the residents once, and I was doing my normal thing, and I asked a student a question, and the resident chimed in. Oh, Dr. Black is going to keep asking you questions until you get one wrong. No, I never realized that I do that. Because it's not geared to them getting the answer wrong. It is kind of the Socratic method. I went to one of the ultimate Socratic method schools, and it's ingrained. Um, and you use the questions to teach the thought process, the way that I think, the way that I approach a problem. I ask the questions to lead the student down that way. I realize that it can be traumatic. and I've turned it into a game. Um, for those of you who have been around a long time, I used to walk around with these little cards, and we joke about the cards, and and really it was just a way to be able to teach no matter what, because the questions were there, the answers were there. I wasn't trying to determine whether or not they knew. Sorry. Um, I don't give brownie points for right or wrong answers. It's really a method of give a way to give them information that they enjoy. Um, next slide. Okay, when you think about navigating the pipeline, um, next. Um, I'm sorry. Um, the best and the brightest stop bullets. Next. The fleet of foot dodge bullets. Next. But not everybody is fleet of foot. And the pipeline does have its casualties. Next slide. Um, when I think about the pipeline, I think about surviving the pipeline. Um, there are many things that lead to diversion. Some of them are self-inflicted. Next. There are ways of maintaining oneself through the things that we go through. Um, for me, I like football. It was a legal way to hit somebody. You get rid of the frustration. Next slide. Brilliance is nice, but being able to cope with the pressures and the things that are there um, are important. Next slide. Okay. Um, everybody always thinks that when you're talking about URMs and you're talking about disenfranchised, where you're always talking racially, but it is anyone who is different. And a few years ago, two students decided that they want to explain their religion and things that were going on. And most of the questions they got, they did a segment for the medical school, Ask a Muslim. And most of the questions were pretty good, and people really cared. What are some of the things I should know when treating a Muslim patient? Um, as a physician, what is the best way to approach the physical exam in a female Muslim patient? What is the best way for a male physician to approach the AT&T exam on a woman who is wearing a hijab? But then again, we showed our true colors. Next slide. Next. Go back. The Quran says non-Muslims can be overcome using physical force if necessary to convert them to Islam. The Quran endorses killing non-Muslims to achieve the goal of spreading Islam. How can you ascribe to a religion that commands you to use force killing if necessary to convert others? I was flabbergasted. Um, that would be like using Jim Jones as a representation of, of anything that I would adhere to. Next slide. Okay, so how do you repair the academic pipeline, and what is peer mentoring? Next. Okay, the first thing we have to understand is, what do we normally do? No child left behind. We rob from the achievers to give to the underachievers. Do we inspire or do we retard? How do we move everybody forward? Well, we can arm the achievers to inspire the unachievers. Develop peer mentoring. Yeah. Now, let's be honest. If your child is in school and the school all of a sudden decides that they're not going to give your child what they need and they're going to hold your child back, don't you have to fight them? Would you be a good parent if you didn't? Isn't it easy? People would be willing to help out to, maybe tutor a kid who couldn't read, as long as your kid was getting what they needed. They have class moms and dads already. We have to think about, how do we educate everyone? Next slide. Our current model pits people against each other. Do you really want your success to be based on somebody else's failure? Are you comfortable with your colleague's failure? Are we really in competition with each other? Next slide. So what is peer mentoring? It's establishing a mentoring stream or a network where you're mentored from above and you mentor those below you. Next slide. It's a pay it forward clause. Next slide. All right. Now, Michigan's greatest asset are the students. As I said before, our students are brilliant. Can we mobilize them? Next slide. Okay. Dr. Fink has a program, Doctors of Tomorrow. It's with Cass Tech, and they take ninth graders and they introduce them to medicine. It's grown, and originally it was just ninth graders. It has grown to, they try to track students throughout high school and beyond. It's a great idea. You know, for those of you who can get involved, I encourage you to. It makes a difference. It's different from what I do. Even though I've mentored students through him, um, but it's something that can make a difference. Next slide. Okay. Now, through OHEY, we've done a number of things. We have a program called Pay It Forward in Central Academy. It's one of the charter schools in Ann Arbor, where where the OHEY scholars mentor the students at Central Academy. We've done many projects with them. We have done capstone projects. Um, next slide. Next slide. Okay. Um, we have the Slauson Middle School. There are a number of organizations, Wolverine Tutors, MAPS, Albuma, UAMSA, where our undergraduate students have gone in. And originally we started with the math class that was uh, most behind, and we go in, we tutor and what have you. Um, why this is important, our schools are stretched. Um, they're kids that need extra help. Um, if you think about it, the pre-med student has to do something altruistic to get into med school. Why don't we help focus them? Um, they can learn, and you'll end up with a better understanding of the world around you, the challenges that other people are faced with. Um, you may even have a creative solution that nobody else thought about. Or you may reach someone that nobody else has. Next slide. Okay. These things cost very little. The Slauson Initiative, it costs the university nothing. Um, it was a it, it was a matter of convincing the school that we wanted to help. Um, and and then I suppose it also costs transportation money to the school, even though Slauson is walking distance from Central Campus. So, um, next slide. It's really interesting that the things you can do as a pediatrician are sort of different. Um, I used to give every one of my patients used to get a lecture on school. Why? Because they were a captive audience. It was if you have a scrapbook full of A's, you can do anything that you want. Yeah, and yet and I would do this as a routine, and it took about 2 or 3 minutes, per patient. Yeah, still worth it. Well, I did it one day to this kid who had osteo, and the mother looked up at me and goes, "Do you ever go to schools?" And kind of flippantly, I said, "If invited." Uh, well, she happened to be the principal of the Waterloo School in in Monroe. Elementary school, and so she invited me. And so every year I would take the ID team down, and we'd do and would talk to the elementary school. Um, One year she called me up and said, most of my kids will never see a college campus. Can we come to your house? I was appalled. A fifth grade teacher knew that most of her students would never see a college campus, and they were 36 miles away from one of the best universities in the country. Wow. I was amazed. Um, Now, there's some people that would be mad at her that she would have the nerve to say this, but no, she was being realistic. And she was reaching out to do something about it. Um, she was telling me. So what did I do? I ran around the department with with her email, and we started hosting them every year. Um, Next slide. Um, a trip costs about $350, and that's for pizza and what have you. And there are a number of people that opened up their labs to students and stuff like that. Now, this again is not just me. Um, yeah, I was the point person. Um, Next, um, the effect that you can have with things like this, and it takes a while. Um, for the first couple of years, you did it, you inspired people, etc. Um, what was the outcome? Um, but the reality is, since I've been doing this for a while, and I've been here for a while, I have people who come up to me and tell me they were from that first cohort, or from a talk that was given at school, or made the trip. Um, so we can make a difference. Um, Now, I'm not sure if this video will play, but next slide. Can we activate it? This was made by the little sixth grader. No sound? It's Hail to Victor.
So you may have to unmute.
What? Collecting your A's. Uh, Next slide. Well, basically, this was made by a sixth grader who had been taken away from her um, parents. Um, we had made a difference in her life. We had kept a dream alive. Um, okay, so sort of, how does the oh hey thing go? Well, they're basically three academies. There's the SPEAR, or the Pre-College Exposure Academy. There's the Career Development Academy, and there's the Undergraduate Research Academy. The Undergraduate Research Academy is basically a summer research program. The pre-college prepares you to enter college and medical, excuse me, to enter college and your SAT prep and stuff like that. And then the Career Development Academy is for juniors and seniors in college. and it gives MCAT prep. Could you consider the student that has to work, the amount of studying that they're going to be able to do while earning money for their next school year is limited. And so they're at a disadvantage. You know, the MCAT still needs to be the same. And so we provide, MCAT prep and things of that nature, and then they take it and do whatever. Now, there's certain feeder things that we have, or the undergraduate orgs that work with us. MAPS, which is the Multicultural Association of Free Health Students, BUMA, the Black Undergraduate Medical Association, UAM's Wolverine Tutors, which are a group of students that enjoy tutoring, and the STEMs. And they feed into the program. They are not all URMs. Again, they're the organization, and they're basically they have decided to align with us. And then they also serve as the body of students that uh, work with a number of initiatives that involve tutoring and involve community engagement. Um, and so it kind of all feeds back on itself, and um, it's a growing network. It's not limited by anything. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, now, when you start thinking of the academic world, the mark of excellence in academia are abstracts, grants, and publications. Um, and so, with a student, um, and especially a student who doubts themselves, if you hold up the same standards as being valid, um, and you can get them to approach them, you can convince them that they belong. And so the mark of excellence for our students are abstract, grants, and publications. The scholarly activity. Now, I know your clinical experiences are very important, but a student can't do clinical. Um, Next slide. Okay, so how does a tier go? Um, okay, this is one particular tier. We compared clinical data for central lines between the PICU and the PTCU. Muhammad Issa was the fourth year student on it. There's third year student Jerry Bond, a second year, and an undergraduate. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Uh, Also, tiers can be built in terms of in collaboration with colleagues. Now, Dr. Seville actually was a resident of mine. She makes me say yesterday, but she's actually the longest standing mentee at Michigan for me. Um, she's a Fulbright scholar. She led a team with a third year student, a first year student, a second year student, an MPH student, and two undergrads. Um, in, on low birth weight babies in Ghana. Um, Now, as you build these tiers, um, it makes it easier for, or it ensures that the educational component of the tier and of the project and the integrity is being done. Um, Next slide. Okay. This is probably one of the more interesting networks. Um, Miriam and Mawa Ayash joined me in their first year in medical school, and they founded the Arab American Health Initiative. It's an NGO um, that is geared to eliminating health equities within the Arab American community. Um, AHI has three great missions: research, community engagement, mentorship. Fatima Assad is the president of that organization. Uh, oh, AHI has operated kind of in collaboration with OHE. They're independent. I serve as the research advisor. Malak Ismail is the research coordinator. There are three main branches of research. They're women's health, child and adolescent health, and then a nutrition study. Now, this all sounds, kind of why. Next slide.
Before you can do the next slide, I think there's a question.
Oh.
David, did you have a question?
Well, it could come at the end. I just hope there will be time.
Okay. Okay. Now, if you look at Malak and the research coordinator, there are a number of projects that are being done, and the projects are student generated. They know their community. They know the health needs of their community. And so what you're doing is you are helping them ask the questions that their community needs. A lot of times when an outsider comes into a community, they don't understand the community. They don't understand the needs of the community. They don't understand the obstacles within the community. They want to change the community. Whereas we are empowering the community or the children from the community to assess what the community needs. And we've been reasonably successful. I mean, all the projects are generated by my students. It's reasonably time, but they do it as a unit. They work together, and I have what I call a pay it forward clause. If I help you, then you owe me something. And what you owe me is to pay it forward. So the network just keeps growing. Next slide. Okay. Now, there are a number of people that have partnered with us. Dr. Seville, Dr. Nasser, Dr. Filbert, Toby Lewis. If you notice that we're heavy pediatrics, Buckman, Angela Elam, Heather Barrow, Mike Watson. Because what it is that through OHE, there's certain research training that we do. There's certain projects that, that I can lead. They're projects that we're more than willing to collaborate with people to do. Collaborating with our students is an advantage in the sense that students love to shadow. If you give them guidance for their journey, they're more than willing to give you their time and their effort. It's a win-win situation. Next slide. All right. Now I say all these things, it's a nice thought, but next slide. No way. This is a pipe dream. Next slide. Well, since 2014, we are averaging over 30 between grants, abstracts, and publications a year. 2020, we were down a little because COVID kind of sort of slowed us down. I think we dropped to like 20, but that's besides the point. Next slide. Which since 2012, we have 78 local abstracts, 54 national abstracts, 8 international. The number of publications is higher than that, and we're at about 250. Next slide. All right. Thing to always remember. I always tell students about the Tuskegee Airmen. Nobody wanted them. No one thought that they were capable of doing anything useful. During World War II, the mark of excellence for a fighter pilot was the number of fighters they shot down. Now, the Germans were really smart. They would send in, because the bombers did all the damage, right? Fighters were a dime a dozen. So they would send in a wave of fighter planes. The US fighters would engage them, and then they'd run. And the US fighters would follow. Then they'd send in a second wave of fighters, and they would shred our bombers. And the casualties and losses were enormous. The Tuskegee Airmen decided that they were going to rewrite the rules of excellence. They weren't going to gear the number of enemy fighters they shot down as their mark of excellence, but the number of bomber crews that they returned home safely. At the end of the day, or at the end of the war, not a single bomber escorted by a 357 was shot down. Remember, your students do not have to elect the same mark of excellence as everybody else. But it's imperative that they are excellent. Next. The way that you ensure that things move forward is with the pay it forward clause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your presentation. I think a lot of people probably have to sign off, but David, do you have time to ask your question? You may have had to sign up. Well, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Sorry, a lot of people have meetings right at 10, so they had to sign off. But it was really interesting, and we appreciate all the work that you're doing. So, what would be a good way, like for people who would like to get involved? What would be the best way to get involved?
To talk to me about, you know, they can mentor students. Um, we have, you know, through research. So for instance, our summer program, we bring in 20 students a year to do research. Um, they can be involved with OHE in general. We can help them build a project with health disparities because all of our students, our scholars, are trained with the social determinants of health and certain research skills. Um, but my goal is for them to grow into a project. So usually a student will come in, that we take in. They'll be given their first project and they'll learn how, the hows of a given project. And then they're always encouraged to think of something that they want to know and they want to be involved in. And then most of the projects are student generated.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. So appreciate your time. So I guess I would just encourage anyone who wants to get involved to reach out. So thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right.